Hello friends, welcome to my show Productive Talks. On the path of every accomplishment, fear is our first and last adversary. Man fears as much as he breathes. A mind mixed with fear cannot experience the breath of freedom. The shallow breath of man is an indication of the fear-ridden mind. He has drifted far from life which was given to him. Today, he is merely surviving, bound from all sides by a multitude of fears. Let me narrate you a short story. Joe was 3 months old today, ready to stand on his feet, all set to take his first step towards life. Crawling to the corner of the center table, he held firmly on one of its legs and pushing his torso upward, made a sincere attempt to stand on his feet. And as he was about to make it happen, his mother rushed to save him from falling. Holding him at this crucial moment and picking him in her arms, she blurted, "Oh dear, you will fall and hurt yourself." She held him tight because she was overprotective of him. Though he could not intellectualize it, Joe felt something unpleasant about the moment. Though he was too small to express it, this was Joe's first introduction to fear. Nevertheless, in due time, Joe had learned to walk, but not without the baby walker on which he learned to lean and clutch tight. This baby walker was his first crutch of life. When winter arrived and the temperature dipped a little, he was forced to wear extra warm clothing when all his mates wore just a sweater or a jacket. Even on a summer morning, he needed a warm shower to have a bath. He strictly kept himself away from cold water. He stayed indoors most of the time when his fellow mates played outdoors for long hours. Winter wasn't a very pleasant season, he thought. Since then, he was uncomfortable with the approaching winter every year. He started fearing the winter. In the cold winter nights, he felt anxious and morose for no good reason. This hampered his readiness to fall asleep. So his granny told him bedtime stories of dragons, goblins, and the evil magician who lived in the dark castle. These stories portrayed the fearsome shadows which lurked in the dark. They made his sleep even more worse than ever. He frequently kept awake till late midnight. His dreams were spooked and he woke up frightened quite often. Now he had started fearing ghosts. When he wanted to play a little after dusk, he was told that it was not safe outside. So he now ended up fearing the darkness at the closure of each day. When he wanted to climb a tree, he was cautioned that he could get his limbs broken, his skull cracked, and he could also die. And he ended up fearing heights of every kind. When he wanted to play in the rain, he was advised that he may catch cold, contract fever. This was when he started fearing every disease on this planet. By the time Joe grew up, he was acquainted with 1,001 fears. Every avenue of joy and pleasure had a shadow of fear prowling around it. To cope with fear, he tried hard to figure out a befitting crutch for each one of them. He became overcautious with everything he did with his life. Anxiety and fear were his consistent cause of distress. He never seemed to be relaxed. He wanted to, but he could not, because he was conditioned to the fear factor, with its roots deep down in his unconscious mind, implanted way back in his childhood. Now Joe was a man. Everyone expected him to take responsibility, be accountable for his actions, be bold, have courage, maintain composure, believe in oneself, have faith, be a winner in every endeavor. But how was that possible? All these expectations were far-fetched possibilities to Joe, for he was accustomed to fear everything he desired to do. He was conditioned to focus on the fear factor in every endeavor. He was now a servant of fear. How could you expect him to be a master of faith all of a sudden? He would have to break the fetters of mental conditionings and relearn all over again. Friends, the scheme of humanizing individuals is erected on one crude principle, and that is fear. The instrument of fear dangles above every man's head like a double-edged sword, ready to dissect him into two halves if he deviates in his thoughts or actions. The do's and the don'ts are the two cubicles of thought and action. If you sincerely adhere to the do cubicle, you will obtain positive reinforcement from the world around you in the form of approval, rewards, material growth, etc. It was chocolates when you were a child, and now it could be an award or a trophy. But if you rebel and retain yourself in the don'ts cubicle, you will receive negative reinforcement. This could be in the form of disapproval, punishment, penalty, so on and so forth. If you do what is acceptable, you will be rewarded. If you do what is unacceptable, you will be punished. But this has come about because we are unable to raise our children as individuals. We repeatedly introduce them to the fear attached to every thought and every action. We think for them instead of inspiring them to think individually. We act for them instead of rousing them to act independently. We tend to create an automata of an individual, a thinking machine, not a free thinking machine, a machine programmed to think in slots, functioning but with only 1/3 of its true potential, and crash indefinitely when confronted with fear. Thank you, dear friends, for lending me a patient ear. Hope you will start the journey of examining yourself, investigating your long fostered fears, and eliminating them one by one.